Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds and welcome back to another episode of Us a Cheeseman. This is episode 98. Checking everything's working. Looks like it is. That's fantastic. So many on the chat this morning, which is fantastic as always. I really do love seeing you here, ready to ask questions, and I think I've already answered one already. It's fantastic. Just take a sip of my coffee and take a breath. There we go. Just a little bit of housekeeping this morning. Shout outs this morning. New YouTube member. The handle is CACM1973. Welcome. Thank you for being a member of my channel. And patrons this fortnight. Brian Crawford. Thank you, Brian. And Nicola Farrow. Thank you, Nicola. Appreciate your patronage over there at Patreon. And it's great to see so many YouTube members already in the chat as well. You can see because their names are in green and they've got a little cheese icon that tells you how long they've been a member, which is very cool. And also members and patrons get early release of the how-to videos, so the how-to cheese making videos. And we've got our first super chat for the day, which is absolutely fantastic before we even start. And there goes the curd nerd sign. I'll just sort that out. This is from Boda. It says, can you make cheese with kefir? Yes, you can. You can make cheese with kefir grains. And there's your little gold star. That way. There you go. You can make cheese with kefir grains. There's a whole book on it. I'll just grab it. Hang on. Goes into it in a lot of detail. This is The Art of Natural Cheese Making by David Asher. Boda, pick up a copy of this book if you're into making cheese with raw milk and you want to use kefir grains as the starter culture. That's definitely the way to go. So that's very cool. Thank you very much for that super chat. Appreciate it. Oh, and one more shout out, and that is for Ruth Cohen, who last week there wasn't a show because I wasn't well. I had some sort of upset tummy and had reflux all day and all sorts of other things that you don't want to know about. But I got better within 24 hours. It was just a 24-hour tummy bug. Felt much better on Thursday. But Ruth, thank you so much for that kind super chat that you did when there wasn't even a show. So really appreciate it. A few other things before we get a move on. That distracted there. So cheese videos coming up. We will have a video for Shabrints, which is coming up soon. That's in post-production. Also, Wensleydale with cranberries is in post-production. My Nemesis cheese is in post-production as well. Not much more to say about that, but you'll see it when it comes out. And a stout-infused cheddar. So I've managed to make something like that. It looks pretty good. Smells fantastic. So there are 4 cheese videos, and that's not even counting taste test videos, which I'm going to get around to doing sometime this weekend. So that'll be cool. Kim's also in the chat she's being the moderator today and providing links and all that sort of stuff and helping produce the show. So big shout out to my lovely wife, Kim. And don't forget that you can do a super chat if you want a question answered and you've got a burning question that I don't always get to all the questions during the show. So if you've got a burning question you absolutely want answered, don't forget to do a super chat. It's that little dollar icon down the bottom of the chat box. Fairly simple to use. Okay, so let's get on with the questions. And it goes all the way back to before the show. Jordan asks, good day, Gavin, Kim, and fellow curd nerds. Hope you're well. Gavin, how are you doing with your headaches, sleep apnea? How is your son recovering from his PE? I think I have 7 questions, which we'll get to, Jordan. Thank you. Headaches, doing well. No problems there at the moment. Sometimes I get a little minor one, but I can get rid of those with paracetamol, which is okay. So still getting one every couple of days, but not the intensity that I had. It was really, really crazy there at one stage. Sleep apnea, no problems at all. Now I've got a CPAP machine, seems to be doing very well. And Ben has recovered from his DVT. So he didn't get a PE, which is good, but a DVT. We've got another super chat. Hang on, let me just sort that out. Okay, Miss St. G, 99 cents. Thank you very much, and no question. But we'll get back to that in a second. But thank you for that. So yeah, he's recovered very well. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it. Carol says, "Hi Gavin, I'm using raw milk for my cheese. Do I have to use calcium chloride, please?" No, you won't have to use calcium chloride. The structure of the milk will be perfect for cheese making. So yeah, that'll work for you, Carol. Where are we? Who else? Ruth says, "How's Ben doing?" He's doing fine. Thank you, Ruth. Patricia says, "I haven't observed you using your cheese cutting board lately. The one with a wire. Do you still use it? Did you buy it or did somebody make it for you?" Patricia, yeah, David Dawson actually made it for me. He's a fellow cheesemaker in Manitoba, Canada. He made it. And I really haven't been... I haven't been doing any taste tests of my own cheese, so I really haven't... thick and fast. Thank you, Ruth, for that super chat. I'll get to your question in just 1 second. So he made it for me. It was a gift. I really appreciate it. But because I hadn't cut any of my own cheeses up lately, which I will be doing very soon, you haven't seen me use it, but I break it out once I do my own cheese taste tests. So Ruth's question was, my husband's favourite cheese is dry jack. I found a recipe on New England cheese making site and made it, but wish for a video. Can you make it? It's a wonderful cheese. I've got quite a few jack cheeses, Ruth, that are very dry. If you make the triple pepper jack recipe without all the chili and pepper and rubs and all that sort of stuff, you'll get a dry jack. Basically, that is the recipe for it. So if Kim could find the recipe on YouTube for the triple pepper jack cheese, Ruth, you can use that one and you won't have any issues at all. It'll be dry, crumbly, all that sort of stuff. So it'll be very nice. And it is a lovely cheese. I hope that helps. Okay, back to the questions. Where is it? So answer one from Patricia. Thank you, Patricia. Dominic says, "Good morning from Mildura," which is just up the road from us. Well, it's about 8 hours away, but it's pretty cool. Dominic says, "Have I ever made Zafit cheese?" Yes, I have. I posted the link there for you, Dom. But just to show everybody, let's go to second monitor. There we are. For those of you who don't know, I do have a cheese making website. So it's a blog. So I post not all my recipes, but quite a few. And if you have a look through, you can search. There's a little search thing here, if you can see my mouse. And you can search for just about any recipe. So I do have one for Zafit. And you can see there's the ingredients and the method and how to make it. And there's actually some follow-up posts about it that people have made the cheese, and they sent me pictures and all that sort of stuff. So don't forget, Little Green Cheese, and there are lots of recipes, links to the podcast, links to all the videos, cheese making courses, the kits, and the whole gamut. It's all there. So yeah, check out Little Green Cheese. You can see the link down here below. for all that sort of information. It's a wealth of cheese making information if you haven't stumbled across it yet. So give that a go. Okay. G'day to Larry. G'day to Alex. G'day to Paul, Manul, Alexandru, Lisa. Lisa says, howdy, Kim and Gavin. Thanks for your channel. Without it, I think I'd never have started home cheese making. Thanks. Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate it. Jared said, on your Boursin, you used Jared minced garlic. Huh? Okay, minced garlic. Jarred, that's the word, Jared. Jarred. Minced garlic. And could you add dried minced onion, or would that be too oniony with the chives? Let me have a think. Because that style of Boursin, there are quite a few you can buy in the shop. I think some are with walnuts and a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, look, you could use dried minced onion. The chives do give it an onion flavour already, so yeah, it might be a bit over the top. The garlic kind of balanced it with the chives. Give it a go, Jordan. It won't hurt. You know, it'll be a lovely little recipe. Rocky says, hi Gavin, had a taste of your baby blue recipe. Absolutely best blue I've ever had. Thanks for your videos. Thanks, Rocky. I actually noticed a couple of people had made recently the Petite Blue, and I saw that in the cheese forums, Facebook groups that I'm in. I think it was in Learn to Make Cheese. So, yeah, there's a lot of people say, oh, is it supposed to be runny on the inside? Yes, it's supposed to be very runny in the inside. Gooey more than anything, not runny like a bad camembert or anything like that. But, yeah, it's supposed to be runny in the middle and runny on the outside and runny everywhere. So it's a very nice blue cheese. The flavour is just exceptional. I'm so glad I invented it. It wasn't a fluke. It was intentional. As I thought, I can create something here. So yeah, go and check out my Petite Blue recipe. It's very nice. Okay. Jeffrey says, my jalapeno cheddar came out crumbly like feta, but the taste is delicious. Ooh, don't know what happened there. I'm going to be tasting my jalapeno cheddar this weekend, so I'll find out what happens, see if it's crumbly, whether it's easy enough to cut, all that sort of stuff. So I'll find out what mine's like this week, Jeffrey. Alex says, could you elaborate on vacuum sealing versus waxing for aging? Which is better? Look, Alex, there's pros and cons about both. Really, vacuum packing is simple. That's the reason people do it. The only problem is the waste that, you can't reuse the vacuum bag again. Trust me, I've tried. It doesn't work. They don't seal properly and all that sort of stuff. But what it does, it excludes the oxygen, which is fine for semi-hard and hard cheeses. Certainly no good for blue cheeses or anything like that that you need oxygen to create the cheese and ripen it and all that sort of stuff. But it keeps mold off and all that. Wax is basically a little bit messier. It's a simple enough process, and if you do 2 or 3 layers of wax all over your cheese, you get the same effect as a vacuum seal. And it just prevents mold from building up on your cheese, and gives a clean rind that has no real rind development. A lot of cheeses don't need a rind development for that. So that's the differences. No difference on the effect of the cheese whatsoever. The only time I wouldn't vacuum pack a semi-hard cheese, if you're, say, making a Jalapeno or a cheese that needs eye development, I always prefer wax over vacuum packing. Vacuum packing keeps the cheese too tight and doesn't allow for expansion of the cheese to create those eyes, the eyes that are created by the carbon dioxide, by the propionic shamani. So always wax those style of cheeses if you're making a small wheel, which we tend to as home cheese makers. That's the only time I'd prefer waxing over vacuum sealing. In fact, I've vacuum sealed the last 4 or 5 cheeses that simply haven't. I think the last one I waxed was Leerdama, which is the holy Dutch cheese. So that's cool. Okay, Kevin says Ricky Carroll in most of her recipes asks for a packet of meso culture. How much is in a packet? Good question. I actually did test this. Their cultures, I think it's called C101, is their mesophilic. Could be hopefully right there. There's about an eighth of a teaspoon of starter culture in those packets. I don't know where they're repackaging it from, but yeah, it's about an eighth of a teaspoon. Exactly the same amount that's in, say, a Mad Millie sachet of mesophilic starter culture. And it's a shame that Mad Millie don't make thermophilic starter cultures either, but I think they're catering to the beginner cheesemaker, which we stock all that stuff in our shop. So it's about an eighth of a teaspoon in those sachets. So that's what I've used in her recipes and had no issues whatsoever. In fact, when it comes down to starter cultures, I do put guides in my recipes, and so on the YouTube recipes. But remember that if your packet says the packet and there's a dosage on the packet, and it says use less starter culture, then use less. I know that the Sacco ones that I sometimes use, they call for such a minute amount. I think it's even it's 1/16 of a teaspoon per 10 liters. Yet a lot of Danisco and what's the other one? Abiasa all call for about an eighth, maybe more of a teaspoon. I got another super chat there. I'll just turn the curd nerd light off. And this super chat is for Chris B. G'day, Chris. Lovely to see you again. Hi, Gavin. I have enough parts to make a few curd harps. Other than half-inch, what are other useful sizes? 3/8 of an inch, which is... Oh, I don't know. I haven't got where's my phone? Convert 3/8 of an inch to centimetres. 0.95 centimetres. I do see that quite often, 3/8 of an inch, and sometimes 3/4 of an inch, which is convert 3/4 of an inch to centimetres. So that's 2 centimetres. So do 1 centimetre, 1.25, maybe 2 centimetres. I've only got one size curd harp, Chris, so I don't have much choice really. Then that's the size I use, and when I don't use it, I obviously cut with a knife to make them bigger. If I'm making something like camembert or a very fresh sort of cheese. So hope that helps, mate. Okay. Back to questions. Where are we? Ricky Carroll's packet. Yeah. All right. So, so go with the manufacturer's recommendations on how much you should add. Okay. Jean-Francois says, hi, Gavin. Can you tell me about what you think about this? There's no question. Can you tell me what you think of this? It is a machine to make cheeses. Obviously, there was a link there, but I think you're talking about that Formaggio cheese making machine that makes, uses 2 litres of milk to make cheese. I personally think it doesn't have any legs, and all those buying it on Kickstarter, it's just going to become another kitchen ornament sitting on their bench, packed away in a cupboard, because you can't make anything large with it, and everybody knows that you need at least 8 litres of milk to make a decent semi-hard cheese. And yeah, I think it's a fad, but if that's what you're talking about, that's my personal opinion. Sorry, I'm not affiliated with a company or anything like that, but that's what I think. Okay, Jordan says, how far ahead of time, days, do you think you could make the Boursin before you were going to serve it at a party? Mine tend to flatten a little bit because it was too moist. So if you can make one that's not as moist and squeeze more whey out of the curd itself, then you may be able to make it the day ahead. I would actually make it the day of the party, unfortunately, because it was quite moist for me. So if yours turns out moist, it may tend to flatten. So what you could do is serve it as a log on on its side instead of standing up. So mine tend to bulge at the bottom. So that would work as well. Okay, Kevin says, have you made Gouda mold? Oh, do you have Gouda molds in stock, or can you get them? Your 165 millimeter mold is great, but Gouda is a very specific shape. Yeah, it's curved, kind of top and bottom. I haven't found those in Australia. I have looked at trying to import them from Europe, but there's something like 30 euros each, which equates to, hang on, Siri will tell me. Convert 30 euros to Australian dollars. So that's $47. That's the wholesale price I'd be able to get them at. I'd have to sell them for a lot more than that to make a profit, because there'd be shipping on top of that as well. So, Kevin, the reason why I haven't imported them is because they are expensive. And I thought, well, it's not the shape of the cheese you're worried about, it's the taste. There is a company, and I'm not fussed about. There are lots of companies within the US that do sell the Gouda-shaped molds. Cheese Needs is one of them out of Vancouver, Canada. I think Glengarry Cheesemaking Co. I think it's in Manitoba, Canada, sell them as well. I think New England Cheesemaking Supply sell them as well if you're in the US. In Europe, there's lots of places that sell them cheaper than what I can get them here in Australia. I really haven't seen them or been able to get them wholesale here in Australia. Sorry about that, Kevin. Don says, hi, Gavin. Hi, Don. Jordan has another question. On your Lancashire, sorry, Lancashire, I gotta say it properly. On your Lancashire, when you pressed for the extra 18 hours, did you turn it at all during the additional pressing? No, just left it there. Hang on, let me think. So after the time it was supposed to be pressed, turned it once, twice. No. So during that extra 18 hours of pressing, I just didn't turn it. I let it consolidate. Okay, Paul says, is cheese that becomes caminated with blue while aging okay to eat, even if the blue mold was never used with other cheeses to cross-contaminate? Is it another type of blue that's harmful, like bread mold? Well, bread mold is actually Penicillium roqueforti. How they grow Penicillium roqueforti is on rye bread. So go figure, it's the same mold. Blue-green mold is Penicillium roqueforti. That's all there is to it. There are different strains of it. They have different tastes because different blue cheeses like Gorgonzola and, say, roqueforti use different strains of Penicillium roqueforti and other adjuncts to make their cheese taste different. So as long as it doesn't go inside your cheese, if it's just on the rind, it's fine. Always is, Paul. Just wipe it off with a simple brine solution, a little bit of vinegar, and it all goes away, and it's all good. Kevin says, what is the difference between regular cheddar and farmhouse cheddar? And do they all have to be cloth banded? Good question, Kevin. So no, regular cheddar is cheddared. So it's cut, the curds made into a slab. It's turned, cut, all that sort of stuff. You would have seen the cheddaring process during my traditional cheddar. Farmhouse cheddar is actually known as a stirred curd cheddar. So there is no cheddaring process. You simply stir the curd a lot longer and it shrinks on itself, giving the same sort of texture as a cheddar cheese. So I don't think they call them farmhouse cheddars anymore. They're more farmhouse cheeses. And no, they don't have to be cloth banded. You can simply, you can simply wax them the sizes that we use. So wax or vacuum pack. In fact, the last cheddar I vacuum packed. Okay, super chat. Thank you very much. This is from Alex. Alex says, just secured a source of raw milk. How do I adjust the amounts of cultures for it? Yeah, and indeed, Alex, if you're making just a simple farmhouse cheese, you don't need to add any cultures at all. of course. You just let the milk sit at room temperature for 12 hours. All of the lactic bacteria within the milk will start to develop acid, and that's what you want. Then you just be able to bring it up to temperature, add the rennet, and away you go. So 12 hours, room temperature, that's your ripening period, okay, for raw milk. If you want to make it into a specific cheese, then add the starter cultures. I would add about 5 to 10% less, okay? What you really, and use it from fresh. Don't do that 12-hour ripening period at room temperature. So basically, you're trying to overpower the natural lactic bacteria that's in the raw milk with the introduced lactic bacteria that you're putting in there. So you just reduce it a little bit because it's a fantastic medium for breeding bacteria is raw milk, but use it as fresh as you can get it and go from there. Hopefully that helps. You work through a lovely raw milk cheese. I've made a few myself, and they are absolutely amazing. Okay, the inquisitive farm wife says, I have so much extra skimmed milk. Any good uses for it? Oh, indeed. Skim milk makes one of the best cheeses that I know, and that's Parmesan style cheese or Parmigiano Reggiano style. So that is one of the best cheeses to use all your extra skim milk for. And some other great uses, sorry, no, that's whey. I'm getting confused. But yeah, definitely skim milk, Parmigiano Reggiano. So use that. Okay. Kenneth says, hi Gavin, love the videos and have made a few cheeses. What do you do to keep yourself occupied whilst stirring curds? And as you'll see in the upcoming Wensleydale video, I think I stirred the curds for 2 hours straight. So what I do is I break out my trusty phone, and I've got a portable speaker that goes with it, and I listen to podcast episodes, I listen to music, and basically that's about it, and just chill out, just relax. That's why cheese making is such a great hobby, because you get to relax when you're doing it. You don't have any choice. Your arms are killing you, but from all the stirring, but you don't have any choice but to relax and calm down and just think about not much at all. It's pretty good. That's kind of what I do when I stir the curds. Alexandru says, by the way, Super Chat says it's not enabled for my region. Oh, sorry, Alexandru. Yeah, it's not available through the world, but most places it is, which is good. Dominique says, can you make I can't even pronounce it. I'm not going to say manure. Saint Meur, I think that's how you say it. Style cheese with cow. Did you follow the same recipe? I haven't made it. I think you might be thinking about another cheese. We got another super chat there. Thank you, Patricia. Appreciate it. My Leicester and Kefir have crevices on the outside. Maybe because the curds were too cool going into the form. Should I press longer and more weight? Yes, definitely. I've been having that trouble with some of the cheeses that I've been making, Patricia, and especially the Lancashire, and the stout infused cheddar that I made recently. The curds did cool down because I soaked them in beer, and the beer was room temperature, but it still wasn't warm enough. I had to keep them over a bowl. So once, because when they were infusing, and you'll see it, I kept it over the pot of warm water to keep the curds warm, which kind of worked. But yeah, I did have to press it for longer, and with the same amount of weight, 50 pounds, 22 kilos, just pressed it for longer so the curds consolidated. And you may want to turn it a few times with that extra time. Extra time doesn't really matter. You don't get that much more whey out of the cheese. It's just making the curds all stick together and form a rind. So that's what you're trying to do. So a little bit longer won't hurt at all. So it's all good. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Patricia. Alrighty, where am I up to? Kevin says, you say you feed whey to your animals. Would the cultures or bacteria affect them at all? No, not really. When the dogs get some, which isn't very often because dogs are kind of lactose intolerant, and it gives them the runs, unfortunately. And you give them a little bit of whey. The bacteria, no, they don't affect them at all. And for chickens, they eat everything, so it doesn't matter. They get a little bit. And if you feed it to pigs, they don't care. It doesn't affect them. It just makes them fatter from all the whey protein. So that's pretty cool. Harpo says triple pepper jack rocks. Yes, indeed. And Kim put the link up there. Thank you very much, Kim, for that. CJ says, is there any sort of cheese that you've always wanted to make but have never had the chance, such as mimolette? Yeah, that's actually a good question. So, yeah, I have wanted to make mimolette, as an example. But the cheese mites, they're not prevalent in my cheese cave, and if they were, they'd eat all the cheeses, and that would be terrible. But yeah, mimolette's very hard to reproduce unless you've got a ready supply of cheese mites, which are little arachnids that eat into the surface of the cheese and excrete an enzyme that creates an amazing flavour. So, unfortunately, and you can't even import mimolette into Australia. It's because of those little cheese bites. Bit of a quarantine risk, I think. Real Smiley says, what's the weirdest cheese you might consider making? Weirdest cheese? I don't know, all cheese is weird, but, you know, who would have thought of turning milk, souring milk, and then pressing it and put it into a form? Crazy people. But seriously, no, I look, when I stumble across a recipe, I look for its uniqueness before I try and reproduce it. I thought the beard one was a bit weird, but certainly smells fantastic. You think, you know, some people would think, why would you make blue cheese? Because they can't handle the smell. Some people would think, why would you make washed rind cheeses, those stinky washed rind cheeses? Because they stink to high heaven when they're in the cheese cave. But yeah, look, it's all relative, I think. I just make them because I love making them. Matthew said, I made my first cheese last week from your paneer video. Thanks for getting me started. Well, paneer is a great, it is a great cheese to start with, Matthew. So I'm glad that turned out well. Try halloumi next. It is amazing. So that's a very simple cheese with a little bit of rennet, and that's really good. Okay, we've got another super chat here. Let me just sort the sign out. Okay, Paul says, and there's your gold star, Paul, that way. There it is. Paul says, will my Limburger still develop the desired flavour since I vac packed it after 3 weeks due to an out of control blue mold? The red smear never appeared. Ooh. Maybe not. So blue molds tend to appear on the cheese when it's a little bit drier. Red smears appear when it is really wet. You rarely get a blue mold when the cheese is moist. You usually get a blue mold when the rind is a little bit drier. The red smear loves moisture, loves salt as well. And if it never appeared, then you may not get the smelly cheese that you're after. So unfortunately, that you'll get a lovely cheese. Don't worry about that, Paul. But yeah, you might not get the flavour of Limburger. Mine just had a red smear on it, and it was very tasty. I really did enjoy it. It was a nice cheese. Okay, thanks for that super chat there, Paul. Okay, where are we up to? Right, so Kevin says, do you have a podcast on XM satellite radio? Satellite radio? Who has that? Must be the US. We don't have it here in Australia, no satellite radio. If not, where? Okay, so my Podcast Little Green Cheese appears on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts using your Apple device. It also appears on Spotify. It's also on iHeartRadio. It's also on Stitcher Radio. It's also on just about everywhere. So yeah, just check out your favorite, and you can get it from any podcast app. And you just have to go to my website, and here it is here. So there's the latest episode, How to Make Cheese After the Apocalypse. You can. There's the RSS feed here, which stands for oh goodness me, I can't remember for the life of me. Real-time syndication or something like that. So Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, and RSS, any podcatcher, your favourite podcasting app on your phone or whatever. There's the RSS feed there that you just cut and paste and put it in there. Or you can play it on the website, which is all very cool. When I'm driving, I tend to use Apple Podcasts, and that works fine for me. But yeah, there are so many different avenues to watch it now, which is really cool. So yeah, very good. Thanks for asking the question, Kevin. No, not on satellite radio. I wouldn't have no idea how to get it there. Rocky says, have I ever made Mizithra cheese? I love it, but I cannot find a recipe for it. I think there might be a recipe over at New England Cheesemaking Supply. Go and check that out. It's basically ricotta on steroids, a little bit of culture added in. Not much to it. But yeah, I think the recipe's over there, Rocky. It's something I should probably make because it's quite simple. Mizithra. It's on the list, mate. All right. Ruth says, can you tell me again why my quick mozzarella won't stretch? Is the pH too high or too low? Or should I just give up on the quick version and go for the traditional version? Second part of your question, yes. Go to the traditional version, Ruth, if you're having trouble. It could be the strength of your citric acid that you're using for your quick mozzarella. It won't stretch if the pH is too high, as in the acidity is too high. And it also won't stretch if the acidity is too low. So it's got to be in a happy medium between 5.0 and 5.3, if I remember rightly, is the optimum curd stretch acidity. So give up on it. Go for the fresh, what's it called? Fiori di latte version of mozzarella, which I have a video there for somewhere. I think I called it real mozzarella or something like that. Which I quickly got told off for by the YouTube commenters because it wasn't using buffalo milk, so I couldn't call it real mozzarella. Anyway, it tasted very similar. Okay, hope that answered your question, Ruth. Jordan says, I have direct set mesophilic and thermophilic from New England cheese. All Ricky Carroll's recipes ask for a packet. How much do I use with your recipes? So those sachets, I think, do 8 litres, which is 2 gallons, roughly. 2 gallons. Yeah. You can use up to, so one of those sachets would be fine for my 10-litre recipes that I use. So you wouldn't have any issues with those. Difference between 8 and 10 litres of milk is no big deal as far as the solids in the milk go. So the cultures will breed and multiply. You won't have any issues with that at all. Okay. Harpo says, I've had that runny stuff before from a local farm. It was boss, indeed. Don, recently discovered your channel and must say that I find it quite interesting. I have so many questions. Where do you get the chemical supplies to make cheese? Well, everything's a chemical, Don. We get it from Little Green Workshops. We sell it. So you can go to, let me just grab it up here. If I can find it. Find my own shop would be nice, wouldn't it? So if we go to, here we are, littlegreenworkshops.com.au, and you'll find the cheese making supplies. There we are. And you go to the shop, and you can buy them all. It's all cool. We have lots and lots. Kits, cultures, rennet, equipment, cheese making baskets, ingredients, even some merch and lots of books. So that's cool as well. Anyway, let's get back to me. There we are, and we got another super chat. I love super chats. Thank you so much, all you lovely curd nerds. Let me have a look. Alex says, can you make Fontina fondel? Ula from Spain. I have made Fontina before. There is a Fontina video. And if Kim can find that, that would be fantastic. So give that a go. Yeah, so there is a Fontina. Fontina Fontel, I'm not sure if that's different. I will have to do some research. If it's the same, then there is a Fontina video, which hopefully Kim will put up. Okay. Right, so where am I up to? I am up to... just did Jordan's question about that. Yep, okay. Chemical supplies, did that. Right, Jordan says, in your cheese cave, where is the best place to put the probe of your external thermostat? And where do you place the probe for the external hygrometer thermometer? They can be close together. That's no big deal. I put it in the middle of the fridge. So I've got mine tied, the probe. I just tied a knot in the cord around the rack in the cheese fridge. It's at the front because I just got it dangling over the front through the seal. I've got no holes in the fridge. That'd be crazy if I wanted to use it for something else later, or sell it when I get a bigger cheese fridge. So yeah, you basically, you can just tie them on the rack at the front, in the middle. In the middle is the best place. Then you'll get the average temperature at the top and the bottom, because it's a bit cooler at the top. Actually, it is on my cheese fridge. It's cooler at the top and warmer at the bottom. Go figure. That's just the way it is. Okay. Ahmed said, sorry, not Ahmed. Ahmed said, I made cheese and it rough. Sounds like he made dog cheese. And okay. Not sure what's going on there. Sorry about that. Manel says, hi, Kevin, can I communicate with you? It's up to Kevin, I suppose. Well, we've got another super chat. Fantastic. Let me just fix that. The Butter Baron, I love your channel and thanks for what you're doing. Other than farmer's cheese, what's the easiest cheese to make? The easiest cheese. Oh, goodness. Start off, right, here's the list. Paneer. I wouldn't say cottage cheese because I haven't even mastered that. So paneer, ricotta, halloumi, feta. They're all very simple cheeses to make. If you want to move on to a cheese without a cheese fridge, then maybe bel paese is a good one. Really nice cheese. But there is a video on 10 cheeses to make without a cheese fridge. So Kim might be able to find that as well. And yeah, that's a good place to start. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. But Kefir is a good one too. If you want to make a semi-hard cheese, then Kefir is a really good one to start with as well. Excuse me, need another coffee. So yeah, try Kefir. It's a lovely Welsh cheese, ages in 3 weeks. Very nice indeed. Okay, where are we? Luz says, hi Gavin, I waxed my Gouda, started rising up and breaking up in the wax. Is there anything I can do besides re-waxing? Oh, sounds like it might be early blown. Depends on the milk you use. If you use raw milk and it wasn't pasteurized, there's a bit of an issue. It might be infected with coliform, which is not a very good bacteria, and you may have to throw it away. If it's happened after a few weeks, then it's some natural eye development, and you must have some. There might be some propionic shamani in the environment that you are in. There's another reason that those cheeses do expand, and there's a additive you can add. It's based on egg white. Lyofast, I think it's called. let me think. I do have it somewhere. Where the heck is it? Lysofast, something like that. Let me see if the search gods, no, they're not working for me. Lysome. No, that's not it. No, it's not happening for me. I can't find the thing that it's called. I did a whole episode on it once on my podcast, but I've forgotten the name of it now. But it's an egg white additive, and it stops the cheese from getting holes where it shouldn't, and those cracks, those fissures that you sometimes get in those Gouda and Edam sort of cheeses. So yeah, re-wax it. I would cut into it to see what it is. If it's got little tiny holes all the way through the cheese, and it looks kind of like a sponge, then it's infected and you'll have to throw it away. If it's got normal sort of eye development and maybe cracks and fissures through it, it'll still be okay. So you can re-wax the two cut halves and just mature it, and it will taste lovely, but it just won't look very appealing. Um, so yeah, so there is a way around it. I'll have to do some research. I can't remember the bloody name of this additive, and you can buy it. You put in like 0.3 of a gram for 10 litres of milk. It's really tiny amount you add, and a lot of people do add it to their cheeses when they're making those style of cheeses. Okay, so I've got 13 minutes left. I've got lots of questions to go. So Pam asks, "Hi Gavin, I have my own dairy goats. What's the best cheeses to make with raw goat's milk?" All the cheeses you can make. Doesn't matter what sort of milk you got. Goat's milk will have a little bit more fat content than cow's milk. And you'll need to use a little bit more rennet to get it to set properly compared to cow's milk. But other than that, you'll be able to make most of the cheeses that I make on my channel with your raw goat's milk. Give it a go. They will work. I've had many reports of people had their own goats and they make all the sorts of cheeses that I have on my channel. Jordan says, on episode 89, somebody asked you about Humboldt Fog goat cheese. I went to a monger in San Diego and he had some but recommended a Lake's Edge. He said it was better and not always available. Just an FYI. Yeah, unfortunately, we can't get Humboldt Fog. They don't export it to Australia, so I've never been able to try it. And I don't have the recipe for it either. So, but yeah, good to know. Thanks, Jordan. Giggle Pants says, that's lovely. I'm very happy that I finally got a chance to watch one of these live. The only cheese I've made so far is a quick, fresh cheese similar to paneer. Look, give the other ones a go, Giggle Pants. That's you'll enjoy it. Just one step at a time, one cheese at a time. You can only improve as you go along. You know, the experience I've gained from making so many different sorts of cheeses is why I can answer these questions. Plus, reading a few books and looking at many videos and seeing how they do things and figuring it out. It's great. It's a great hobby. It really is so much fun. And it's so relaxing. I've never been so relaxed in my life as I did when I started making cheese. Okay, Jordan says, how is it best to cut up and store your cheese or when you're going to share it? Store your soft cheeses or when you're going to share it, like Brie, soft blues, soft goat cheeses, camembert, and how long will they last once they're done aging? Okay, so for those sort of soft, bloomy cheeses that you're describing there, Jordan, it's best to wrap them in that micro perforated paper, similar to you get from the ones from the supermarket. You can buy it. We have it online as well. Most cheese making suppliers have it online, so you'll be able to have that. So yeah, you'll have to give them a little bit of that because it helps the cheese breathe not go too runny. But if they're going to eat it within the same day, just a nice waxed paper would be fine. Stop the cheese from drying out. You won't have too many problems. And they should eat it within 7 days after you gave it to them. Just, keep things nice and safe. I wouldn't leave it much longer. They tend to dry out once they're cut. So, anyway, I hope that helps. Manel says, I forget and save liquid rennet and annatto in the freezer. And they became ice. Do they affect the rennet? You can just defrost them. Annatto won't be affected, and rennet maybe. I've never frozen rennet, not liquid vegetable rennet anyway. So I don't know the effects. So you may have to buy some more. The annatto will be fine. I've had that happen to me. But yeah, don't put them in the freezer. Rennet tablets, no problems at all. You can put those in the freezer. They last forever, like years and years and years, and they still work. Despite the manufacturer's best before date, I'm telling you now. And liquid rennet, very similar. The liquid rennet, the vegetable rennet that I use, the Chimax Plus from CHR Hansen. It's not a plug. I don't own the company. It just lasts a long time. I've been using the same one. I think over a year past its best before date and no issues whatsoever. So, yeah. Okay, another super chat. Thank you very much. And who's this one from? It's from Jordan. No problems at all. Thank you, Jordan. He says, thank you for answering my questions. Missed you last week. I missed the show last week too. I felt like crap. I really didn't want to do it when I was feeling sick. So it wouldn't be fair to you guys. I just wouldn't be my normal bubbly self and be able to answer your questions, rapid fire like I do now. So, but thank you, Jordan. Appreciate that super chat, mate. Really do. Okay, 8 minutes to go, and we've still got a few questions. Manel, no, we've done Manel's question. Hope that helped. I would get some more liquid rennet. Don't freeze it. Percy says, never made cheese in my life, but love watching your videos. So happy I found this channel. Very, very interesting. Might try something not too hard soon. Yeah, indeed. Give it a go, Percy. Manel's trying to get Kevin's email address for some reason. I don't know what's going on there. Sounds a bit dodgy. Stop it, Manel. Ruth says, when I'm stirring, I like to watch old Ask the Cheeseman videos. That is most excellent. I would feel a bit vain if I did that myself, but yeah, it's cool. They do last a long time. So, your 1 hour stirring time, you got a 1 hour show, just go for it. Yeah, that's good. Well done, Ruth. I love your work. Patricia says, I watch episodes of 8 out of 10 Cats does countdown while stirring. Kills the time beautifully. Nice one, Patricia. King Boar says, g'day, Gavin. 3 strikes on Oaxaca. It became a crumbly mess. Closer to cottage cheese this time. I used extra rennet, but essentially the same result. Let the curds heal longer. Good question. Sounds like you got a milk issue, King Boar Hog. If you can't get a curd set with that recipe or any recipe, it sounds like it would be any, because, making the curds for Oaxaca is very similar to making curds for anything. I think you've got a milk issue, so I would investigate that. Try different types of milk in your area. If you can't get the curd set, then, yeah, that's the issue, not the rennet, not your method that you're doing. It'll be the milk. And I had some issues with some milk lately, which I will be sharing in my Nemesis cheese video coming up soon. Chris says, hi from Margate, England. Gavin, me and my friends recently found your channel and we love it. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate it. Dominique says, Saint Menu is a goat cheese. Looks like a log, maybe called fromage blanc for cow's cheese. Wanted to make more fresh cheeses as often as my wife can wait long for hard cheese. Right, so Dominic, yes, now that clears that up. So just make the basic sherbet recipe that I made, and if Kim can quickly put that link up, that would be fantastic. So make the basic sherbet recipe and drain it longer so it's firmer. Then you can roll it into the log, and it's perfect. There you go, with all that goat's milk that you've got up there in sunny Mildura. And that's all you have to do. I think that's the one with the stick through the middle, a piece of straw through the middle, I think, if I remember rightly. But yes, so just make the basic, that's all I do is basic sherbet recipe and away you go. If you want it to have a bloomy rind, then add just a little bit of Penicillium candidum, and that'll bloom on the outside of the log, and that'll look pretty cool. You could even ash wash it. Use my bloomy goat blue recipe, and don't put the blue in, but follow the procedure, and then put that into a log shape. I've actually got caprini molds, which are the log molds. They're about that long, and you could, if your curd is firm enough, you could make a goat cheese that is rennet. So you make a renneted, so make curds with rennet, like a camembert using goat's milk. Put them into those log molds, and you'll get the same effect. That'll be pretty cool as well. So there's some suggestions there, Dominic. Okay, Hunter's Live. Hello from Rochester, New York. New cheese enthusiast here. Where could I purchase a cheese harp? Good question. You can get them from Steve Benz in the US there. Let me just see if I have. Do I have the link for it? Let me just go. Sorry, I've only got 4 minutes to go. Kim's probably given me the wind up already. I probably won't get the link. Just have a look at any of my cheese making videos. There is a link to the curd harp where you can buy it on Etsy from my good friend Steve. I get a small commission from every sale. He only ships in the US, so you should be right, Hunter's Life. You won't have any problems at all. Let me just see if I can get the link very, very quickly. YouTube's very, very slow today. Options. Let me have a look. Oh, here it is. I've got it. I got the link. So good. Here we go. That's where you can get one from. All right. Marina says, hi, I made your halloumi recipe. It still came out fairly melty when I grilled it. Any tips for the next batch? Yeah, it's the cooking process. So when it floats back to the top, so if it floats too quickly, then just leave it in the hot whey for longer. That stops it from melting. That's the process that stops it from melting. So that's where hopefully that works. Gregsy says, love your cheese vids. Thanks, Gregsy. And yes, Kim is giving me the wind up. So sorry for all those questions I didn't get to. My apologies. Like I said, I don't get to them all. If you have a burning question, super chat, of course. But that'll be for next show. Alex says, just a final one. Alex says, Gavin and Kim, thank you both for what you do. It's indeed very inspirational. To share the knowledge is very kind indeed. No problems at all. That's what we do. And thank you all for turning up this week and answering your questions, because without your questions, there would be no show. It'd be pretty boring here, me talking about cheese and stuff. But yeah, thank you all very much. It's really appreciated. So don't forget that if you want to buy stuff at our store, pop over to littlegreenworkshops.com.au. If you want to support the show, either hit the join button down below under the video, or and become a YouTube membership. I think it's for $4.99 US a month. You get cool perks like early release videos, and you get a cool little icon next to your name, which everybody can see there. People in green, and their cool icon. That's very cool. And the merch over at teespring.com stores Cheeseman TV. There might even be a merch shelf down under the video, and you can get cool shirts like Certified Curd Nerd, and there's other Blessed are the Cheesemakers, and you get cups and stickers. I got everything. It's all over there. Go and check that out. And if you want to listen to some podcasts, then pop over to littlegreencheese.com, which is linked just down below there, and you will get to listen to some audio podcasts on just about every device that you can possibly think of. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Say hello to Holly. She's there behind. There she is, in the chair. As always, I don't know how many people noticed her, that she was hiding there behind, but give her a wave. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. and for another episode of Ask the Cheeseman, episode 99 next week. Whew, and then 100, and you'll get to see Kim. All right, see you later.